Vietnam people will shoot you if you don't like this video and subscribe right now. This is how I see Saturn through my 6-inch telescope. Boston moved its highway underground in 2003. This was the result. An alignment of Earth, Mars, Venus, Saturn and Jupiter from Africa at 4 AM. A shark's brain and a dolphin's brain. Brain of shark, brain of dolphin. News anchor from the other angle. The house my grandparents bought has a hidden basement that they weren't told about. It's full of boxes. I built a big sandcastle with a guy who ended up being a murderer who was on the run for months. The serial killer Pedro Rodriguez Filho, active 1967 to 2003, in prison from 1973 to 2007 for 71 murders, 47 in prison, again in prison from 2011 to 2018 for starting riots. Pedro is ranked 6th among serial killers with proven number of victims. He is now out and has started his own YouTube channel. Alex Colville's paintings from the 50s 70s looking like a 2000s video game. Intense co-op combat in a bullet hell sci-fi adventure. Join us. Pre-alpha playtests start soon. Tuscany sword. A Tuscan knight plunged his sword into a rock in the year 1180. He then swore off war and became a hermit. It is believed that this sword evolved into the Excalibur story in the UK, Sword in the Stone and King Arthur. The sword remains embedded in the stone to this day. A hailstone crashed into the sunroof of this car, but the shattered tempered glass was kept in place by the laminate. If you don't pay back your loans in Dubai, this is classed as stealing. You have to go to jail due to Sharia law. This leads to many failed foreign businessmen abandoning thousands of supercars at the airport as they flee the country. Giraffe saying hello to terminally ill patient during last wish an event in Dutch zoo. An early example of a successful cranioplasty, Peru circa 400 CE. The patient survived, as incidents by the well-heeled in situ cranioplasty made from a golden lei, now on display at the Gold Museum of Peru and Weapons of the World in Lima. Public outdoor gym in London, made from steel from knives taken off the streets. Long exposure shot that I took rock climbing with LEDs. Pyramid from a rare angle. Man stands on head of Russian worker from Soviet era statue of Russian and Ukrainian friendship that was demolished in Kiev today. Sunset from above the altocumulus clouds at 30,000 feet near Oahu, Hawaii. Taken by photographer Nathan Province. You can't conceal a ship from the enemy, but you can confuse him. Phoenix in the sky illusion from the eruption on Mount Etna, Sicily. A speed limit sign in 1920s. Motorists attention. You are on a fresh. No county has no speed cops drive, so they will not be needed. Speed limit 30 miles per hour equals board of supervisors. Lang temperatures of India and Pakistan during current heat wave, reaching as high as 62 degrees Celsius. Different lunar phases over 28 days in the same location. The woman who gave birth, made 12,000 years ago. 14 states still have laws prohibiting male sex despite the Supreme Court's 2003 ruling. Is sodomy illegal? Yes. Only if you're gay. No. This truck is polished so well it takes a second to see it. It isn't photoshopped in any way. The border between Semnan and Mazandaran province in Iran, where desert ends and lush forests start. Sophia Costanza Brigida Villanisa Cologne, known professionally as Sophia Loren 1955. Three-eyed snake found on Australian highway. The doors of the C-17 Corrosion Control Hanger at Hickam Air Force Base on Oahu were specifically made to be fitted around the large aft of a Globemaster III. Picture taken in the 1870s of a samurai with both his katana and revolver. Grazing animals like sheep enjoy using the shadows of wind turbines to help stay cool. By design, these turbines are often on exposed terrain with less shade available. The crew of the B-29 Wadis wagon recreating their nose art. All of them perished over Japan when they attempted to cover a fellow superfortress that was crippled from enemy fire. The Day the Child Meets His Best Friend 1929. My strawberry plant grew a butterfly-shaped strawberry. Double exposed photograph of French illusionist Henry Robin with a ghost. Photo by Eugene Thibault 1863. China will aim to alter the orbit of a potentially threatening asteroid in 2025 with a kinetic impactor test as part of plans for a planetary defense system. This 40-year-old handbook predicted VR gaming. 9. If video games are not stopped, this will be our future. The Walkman video game. In the early 1900s, some tampons were soaked in opium and belladonna to help combat menstrual pain. Long exposure photo of Falcon 9 launching 4 astronauts to International Space Station. After completing the billion treat tsunami project, Pakistan moves to a 10 billion treat tsunami project. Sinchirpi, a town in the province of Enna in Sicily. Fireflies in forest as night approaches. When a kiwi has an egg, this is how much space it takes up inside. Interesting architecture. Casabatlo, Spain. 31 Shades of the Sunset Sky. Larangar, the monastery town in Tibet. Man builds guitar out of his dead uncle's skeleton. Uses it to play black metal. The surprising story of one metal fan's quest to have his uncle shred for all eternity. The interior of the 1986 Oldsmobile Incus. Robert McGee, the man who was scalped as a child by Native American warriors. Robert McGee is one of the few people in American frontier to survive, having his flesh ripped from his skull. In 1890, photographer E. Henry took this rare photograph of Robert McGee displaying his scalping scars. Mother and her 1-year-old son have very uncommon heterochromia, leaving them with beautiful and mesmerizing swirled blue and black eyes. The Wärtsilä Ratiflex 96C is the world's largest and most powerful diesel engine. It can generate 107,389 horsepower with more than 7 million Nm of torque, weighs 2,300 tons and stands 44 feet tall and 90 feet long. Redline is at 102 revolutions per minute, but the torque is enough to tear a tank to shreds. 150-foot iceberg captured passing through Iceberg Alley, which is near Ferryland, Newfoundland, Canada. All 100 Democrat and Republican senators melded into the final boss of politics. The Seiko TV Watch 1982. Pretty amazing tech for its days. King Tut's extraterrestrial dagger. The iron used in the blade was forged from a meteorite. A mother buried in an eternal embrace with her 2 children. discovered in an archaeological site called Gabbaro, preserving an unprecedented 5,000 years of habitation by peoples who lived in the last era of the Green Sahara, prior to its transformation to desert. In 1953, the 600-foot-long, 70-foot-wide Marine Angel transited the Chicago River. The Big Wind, created by Hungarian engineers using an old T-34 and two MiG-21 jet engines, it was able to put out oil fire with a single blow. The photo was taken in Kuwait 1991. Louis Edward Kurtz is an American ace who had an official air-to-air kill against an American aircraft in World War II. The 101 Dalmatians has a far lesser-known sequel, The Starlight Barking. Published in 1967, the story features the same characters, but a wildly different plot. In it, the dogs take over the government, get the ability to fly, and an omnipotent dog god descends from the heavens. The 101 Dalmatians. Dodie Smith. The Starlight Barking. Dodie Smith. What they don't show you, across the street from the White House, is this 40-year-long, 27 protest against the government. Giant, nearly complete specimen of the macro-predatory ichthyosaur, Temnodontosaurus trigonodon, found in the UK. When Harry Leon Crawford, hotel cleaner of Stanmore, was arrested and charged with wife murder, he was revealed to be in fact Eugenia Fellini, a woman and mother, who had been passing as a man since 1899. Ostrich carriage being stopped by the police for crossing speed limit, Los Angeles around 1930. Palma Nova, a fortified city built by the Venetian Republic in 1593, designed to defend against attacks from the Ottomans in the Friuli Venetia Giulia region. 5,000 years old house layout design, era of Sumerians. The talons of an African crowned eagle compared to a human hand. This piece of art by an imprisoned schizophrenic inmate. What 5 megabytes of computer data looked like in 1966. 62,500 punched cards, taking 4 days to load. Some interesting things found in parts of my home, some over 100 years old. Tonight I plan on entering a room that was walled off to find anything hidden inside. Hercules is the largest living cat according to the Guinness Book of Records. He weighs nearly 1,000 pounds and 11 feet long. Hercules is a liger, a combination of male lion and female tiger. This combination always causes immense growth, but Hercules is even bigger than normal ligers. Activists chained themselves to an oiler to protest Norway buying Russia's oil. Once the busiest area in Shanghai, now looks like in a post-apocalyptic movie. What a night bus in Japan looks like inside. Enhanced image taken by Soviet uncrewed space probe Venera 9 of the surface of Venus on October 22, 1975. The spacecraft itself was non-operational after 127 minutes due to sulfuric acid rain destroying the craft's electronic systems. The Super Tree Grove in Singapore. Ukrainian refugee car in Warsaw, Poland. Someone at a local college has a sick ride. Ukrainian volunteers offer parts of a shot-down Su-34 in exchange for donations. A friend was gifted these special issue stamps of Ukraine. It's a depiction of the brave soldiers of Snake Island standing their ground against the Russian flagship Moskva. F.U. Moscow. Of course, only a few weeks later, that infamous flagship was sunk by Ukrainian forces in the Black Sea. Evacuation of the Louvre Museum's art collection, days before the declaration of World War II. Rock found in river, rural England. British Lancaster Mk2 armoured cars disguised as elephants in Burma during World War II. I photoshopped my daughter's drawing of a bunny. The tail of BM-30 Smerch missile converter into a grill. A perfect rectangular iceberg. 1,700-year-old sandal found in Norway. I took this photo during astronomical twilight at St. Martin's Haven on the Pembrokeshire coast, South Wales, UK. Gazprom's Russian gas company, building in the center of Petersburg, seen from suburbs. My taxidermy peacock who died from natural causes. Taxidermy is the art of preserving an animal's body by filling them with special materials for display. The first known taxidermists were the ancient Egyptians. National Mall, Washington, D.C. 1944. All those buildings were temporary constructions to house the War Department before the Pentagon was built. The citrus family chart, showing different types and crossbreed history of the fruits. On September 7, 1947 at 3:45 p.m. the first computer bug was recorded. It was a moth which had ended its life within a relay in Harvard's computer. The bug was taped into Grace Hopper's notebook. Other may have preceded it, but this was the first to be recorded. The term has stuck with us since then. Kowloon Walled City was an ungoverned and densely populated Chinese enclave within the boundaries of Kowloon City, British Hong Kong. Only about 6.4 acres, the city had around 50,000 inhabitants and was controlled by local tribes. It had high rates of frost elution, dagger base, and gumblink. Church I've been to has insane crazy stained glass windows. Patterns created when sand is put on a resonance plate. This is a gigantic book-picking robot used at the Marriott Library at the University of Utah. The gray on the sides are drawers that hold books and the yellow stripe is the robot. The facility is about 5 stories high and there are about a dozen rows like this one that the robot can access. Ceres was considered to be our solar system's 8th planet before Neptune was discovered. Ceres is a dwarf planet, and it is located in the asteroid belt between Mars and Jupiter. It is the smallest of the 5 official dwarf planets of our solar system. A butterfly drinking the tears of a turtle. In Ecuador, this behavior is known as lacrophagy, tear drinking, and is one of several ways butterflies obtain moisture and nutrients. This was photographed by Amma Lavida. South Pole expeditions were often deadly back near the turn of the 19th century, largely because of how urgent it is and the lack of quality equipment and navigation tools to get through the bitter weather. This is Antarctica compared to the size of the US. Woodpeckers put their tongue inside of 2 specialized holes to prevent their skull breaking while pecking. Japanese star sand full of tiny fossils, also the suspicious way the seller decided to ship them. The Louisiana Aqueduct is a 25 meter, 82 feet, long navigable aqueduct, also known as the Water Bridge, located over the Louisiana Lake in Ederwick, Netherlands. Our 3,400-year-old painter's palette originating from ancient Egypt. City of Epicún, Argentina emerging after 30 years underwater. Jupiter's red spot is a storm that has been going constantly for hundreds of years. The colors of the seats at Dodger Stadium in Los Angeles were chosen to represent the beach. Some Cotaluati made called fractals in Lagash, the ever-consuming, made from thousands of tiny detailed interwoven fractals. Large zoomable image. This sculpture from the 4th century BC was unearthed in Spain in 1879. Lady of Elche. Coin from Queen Elizabeth I's coronation 460 years ago. A baby's footprint in clay, dating to 2000 to 1595 BC summer. Some footprints included the names of the parents and child at the back, similar to a modern birth certificate. Sinking of Louisiana Marshes caused by a geological fault event. 2016. Circa 1965. A soldier of the US Civil War that survived a bullet between the eyes 1863. Soviet propaganda after attacking Finland during the start of World War II in 1939, eerily identical to modern-day Russia's propaganda after attacking Ukraine in 2022. The Pirate Cemetery of Madagascar, home of an estimated 1,000 pirates reportedly, including widely feared brigands Adam Baldridge, William Kidd, Oliver Levasseur, Henry Avery, Robert Culliford, Abraham Samuel and Thomas II. On February 6, 1991, Captain Robert Wayne would shoot down an Iraqi helicopter using his A-10 Warthog's GAU-8 Avenger cannon. It was the first air kill for an A-10, and his plane would be called the Chopper Popper. It's now on display at the Colorado Springs Air Force Academy. Helmet camera in Formula 1, 1966 to 2022. This is an Irish malthouse in a graveyard, built 1831. To deter grave robbers, bodies were stored here before burial until they decomposed, so they could no longer be sold to the medical profession. Dry stingray looks like a frickin' demon. KGB poison pistol disguised as a pack of cigarettes 1950s. A British mobile carrier pigeon loft, used during World War I to send messages to and from Western Front. They were created using requisitioned red double-decker London buses. Napping pods by Google for their staff. Egypt's Singer Oasis. The Blakiston's fish owl is the largest owl species. They are endangered and have a wingspan that can reach 6 feet. The urge larva of a Hercules beetle.